Joining us right now, one of our favorites, excellent reporter, Julie Kelly, senior contributor to American Greatness, author of How Democrats Use the Capitol Protest to Launch a War on Terror Against the Political Right. Julie, good afternoon to you. And I just read out your title. If I'm not mistaken, you actually just left American Greatness, didn't you?
I did. I left last month and started my own Substack, so people can check it out. Julie Kelly Substack. It's called Declassified with Julie Kelly.
Declassified with Julie Kelly is where you get the good info. Julie, thank you so much. I was just reading out the FD 1023 form that Chuck Grassley released today. It is chock full of really, I think, scandalous and important information. Does any of it stand out to you today?
Not. I guess just what stands out overall is how just corrupt and how do you want? Not even unpatriotic. How un-American. How borderline, dare we say, treasonous the
Yes.
Biden family is for connecting with corrupt oligarchs like the owner of Burisma, using our tax dollars as leverage to blackmail the president of Ukraine to fire Viktor Shokin, which we now know is another total lie fabricated by Joe Biden and the media.
Yes.
That he did not do what we see him do on tape, and now that is basically supported with this FBI document.
I mean, it is so, and it's so unbelievably credible, too. You read through it, all of the dates and information, everything lines up very perfectly. And it reminded me today, Julie, as I was going through this, they impeached Donald Trump over all of this. Donald Trump started asking questions about, wait a second, like Joe Biden was really that corrupt? And the second he began asking those questions, they impeached him for daring to ask.
They absolutely did. And the entire impeachment, and I remember writing this at the time, was to cover up what, Senate, remember, Ron Johnson and Charles Grassley were all over this in 2018 and 2019, and they prepared a report. It wasn't released until the end of 2020, unfortunately. The details, all of Hunter and James Biden and Joe Biden's and the Biden family connections to Russia, money that they were getting from the widow of the mayor of Moscow. Also, of course, as we know, money from China and money from Romania and now Ukraine that we knew about. But the whole fact that Donald Trump was impeached to cover up Hunter Biden taking all of this money from Burisma as an alleged board member, which of course he wasn't.
Yes.
And then now funneling and, taking money, not just going to Hunter Biden, as we know, but going directly to Joe Biden as well.
And so as more and more information comes out about all of this, and I've noticed, I was just commenting to Corey, our producer here, that it feels like the whistleblowers are just absolutely falling out of every window of the government. Now, they're everywhere. You've got IRS whistleblowers. You have FBI whistleblowers. Today, fresh Justice Department whistleblowers providing this FD 1023 form to Chuck Grassley. There is just a mountain of evidence stacked up against Joe Biden and our corrupt government. But at the same time, it seems, perhaps not a coincidence at all, the Justice Department has never been more vicious towards Donald Trump and his supporters. The aggression is palpable, Julie.
It certainly is. And this is why I think they're ramping up and warning Donald Trump, Special Counsel Jack Smith, who, can I note, let's say something about Jack Smith for a moment.
Please.
I tweeted this out too, Vince. You probably saw this. Who was the head of the Department of Justice's Public Integrity Section from 2010 all the way through January of 2015, when the Biden family was putting their international bribery racket together? Jack Smith. He was the head of DOJ's Public Integrity Section, which is supposed to root out government corruption by public officials and their associates. All of this was happening right under Jack Smith's nose, and he did nothing instead of he went to the Virginia governor.
What did he do about it? You might say he did Jack Smith. He didn't do anything. He didn't take Biden on at all.
That's right. And so now he's going to help again bury what Joe Biden and his family did, collecting $18 to $20 million just that we know of from foreign sources, including hostile regimes like China. And he's going to again help bury this for whatever reason. We don't know why. And by, this looming indictment against Donald Trump for the events of January 6th. He already has the criminal indictment against him for classified documents, which was, of course, handed down last month.
Yes. Yeah. And
I
noticed.
make this stuff up. You can't make it up, Vince.
No, you can't.
Make this up.
And I said a couple of things. One, I was messaging you earlier this week because I had questions about this. I saw Matt Gaetz is still fighting for full transparency on the Jack Smith investigation. And he says he can't even get simple answers like, give me all of the names of everybody on your team. That's a member of Congress who can't get these answers on the Judiciary Committee. But meanwhile, to the extent that we've cobbled together some of the names, some of the things we've detected, Julie Kelly, are that people who donated to Joe Biden in 2020 are on Jack Smith's team prosecuting Trump for a document dispute and for the events of January 6th. How could you even allow that?
How can you allow it? And furthermore, let's get rid of this idea that Jack Smith's investigation is independent. What Jack Smith did, and of course he wasn't even in the States when he was appointed, he was the prosecutor at The Hague, and he was recovering from knee surgery apparently. All that happened was the Department of Justice, Lisa Monaco and Merrick Garland, took the existing investigators and prosecutors who were already investigating Donald Trump for classified documents and January 6th and moved them over to Jack Smith's office. That's all they did. They changed letterhead. These are the same people who've been looking into this for 2.5 years. So it's not independent by any sense. And as I tweeted today, one of Jack Smith's top prosecutors, a man named David Harbach, not only worked with Jack Smith as a public integrity unit when they were ignoring what the Biden family was doing, he also was a special counsel for none other than FBI Director Jim Comey from 2014 through 2015. It's just connecting the dots and looking at America and how the Democrats, with help from the media, are completely turning America into a banana republic, a third world regime.
Yes.
Where you have this tiny ruling class, not just of elected officials, people like Joe Biden, but these longtime apparatchiks, especially creatures of the Department of Justice, who have no accountability, no soul, by the way, no conscience, and are ruthlessly going after the Democrats' political foes, from Donald Trump all the way down to, a grandma from Indiana who walked in the Capitol building for 10 minutes.
Exactly.
2.5 years ago.
And on the other side of things, they're giving wrist slaps or ignoring entirely all sorts of broad categories of crime for people associated with the Democrat Party. So, for instance, in Hunter Biden's case, wrist slaps for two tax. Two late tax payments. That's basically the way it was handled. No consequences for the gun issues whatsoever of any kind. And meanwhile, Robert Hur is supposed to be a special counsel looking into Biden's. Yeah, I know. I had to Google it before we asked. Robert Hur is supposed to be the special counsel looking into Joe Biden's handling of classified documents illegally that he stole while he was a senator and vice president of the United States. He had no right to have any of this government paperwork, and yet he had it anyway, stored next to the Corvette in his garage in Delaware. And Robert Hur is apparently looking into this. And again, I had to Google his name today to be reminded of it because I haven't heard from him. Have you?
Have not heard it. Last time I heard Robert Hur's name was Department of Justice issued their report, the required report, as to the expenditures by special counsels. So Jack Smith has spent upwards of $6 million since he was appointed in November of 2022. Robert Hur has spent about $600,000. So that should tell you a little bit about the discrepancy in those two investigations.
That's like a couple of cocktail lunches in D.C. They're not doing anything, are they? $600,000. So they're not digging in here, and Biden's not going to face any meaningful consequences. And Hunter's getting away with murder. He may actually be getting away with murder. We don't know about that yet. But it's gotten that completely out of control, Julie. And at this point, I got to believe that you just have to have the wool completely pulled over your eyes if you don't detect the corruption that is just rampant throughout our government.
And that's what was so appalling watching Democrats in the whistleblower hearing yesterday. And as we've seen them throughout any of the whistleblower testimony hearings, is how they go after these individuals. I mean, were attacking These two men who testified yesterday, Gary Shapley and the other gentleman, his name escapes me. I'm sorry. I'm going through like all these documents.
No, that his name is Joe Ziegler.
Heroes.
Joe Ziegler.
Yes, and it's important to really underscore these men are heroes.
Yes.
What they are risking, and quite frankly, unfortunately, risking to tell the American people, but we know no legal consequences will come in the direction of the people who need it. They are truly courageous Americans, and we all owe them a debt of gratitude because we know with this ruthless regime, Department of Justice, IRS, whoever it is,
yes,
will do to retaliate against them and their family. They're just, they're amazing, all of them, the FBI whistleblowers as well, people like Kyle Serafin and Steve Friend and that group. And I do think, they say courage is contagious, and to your point, more whistleblowers coming forward. And hopefully we will start to see a steady stream of them exposing not just what's happened in past years, but what continues to happen at this DOJ and FBI related to prosecuting, political dissent in this country, Trump supporters and voters, but also covering up the real crimes that threaten our national security.
In your view, is there more that Republicans can be doing here in order to address all of this? I know earlier this week, Matt Gaetz, who I mentioned, he's introducing legislation to defund Jack Smith. I really doubt that he's going to get much support among Republicans in the House because there's still so much to get along happening in Washington. Unfortunately, I'm so grateful for all the information that's coming out, because of all of these committees. But the actual aggression within the confines of the law, but the aggression that we want out of these guys, I don't know if I see it.
Wait, you mean the tweet from Senator Mitt Romney yesterday honoring National Hot Dog Day? You don't think that sent a pretty strong message to Jack Smith and Lisa Monaco? That he's really disgusted at what's happening?
I love that he sent that right in the middle of the whistleblower hearing too. It was like right smack dab in the middle. The rest of us are all watching this hearing slack-jawed like, oh my God, I can't believe what's happening to our country. He sent out a National Hot Dog Day tweet right in the middle of it saying he likes hot dog. It's his favorite meat. He likes it both in buns and outside of buns. Julie.
Well, and he also had ketchup on it, which, of course, as you know, I'm from Chicago. That is a crime. And if he did that here, maybe I should have invited him to have fun.
Yeah, nobody gets punished for a crime like that unless your last name's Trump or if you voted for him. And Romney did not do that. That's no risk there. All right. Hey, Julie, anything else coming down the pike from the great Julie Kelly?
Well, let's see. I've got a lot of things. I got the transcript today from a court hearing in the classified documents case. That was Tuesday. And I will tell you, there's a good reason why Democrats and the media do not want Judge Aileen Cannon handling this. She has DOJ's number. I'm going to be posting screenshots of that hearing and how that moves forward and what the defense attorneys, Donald Trump's defense attorneys, told her about the government stonewalling and delay tactics related to producing classified documents in that case.
I'm glad you follow these court proceedings because if we had to rely on the corporate media, it would just be impossible to know what was going on. Julie Kelly, thank you for sharing the truth always. Really appreciate your time today.